Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, thought I give all praises, honor, and glory unto the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachak. Alright, the bonus of the apostles and elders at great millstone who rule well and taught us this 100% truth. Alright, much peace and blessings spent to you, hopefully, like out there, pushing out this word of thought, truth, and sincerity. To all you, I can say Shalom. Alright, so this is going to be a quick video going into the judgment of Esau, man. That's what the Spirit's been on me, to get on Esau, man. But anyways, the book of Amos, the first chapter, verse 11, and it reads, "Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever." Yeah, man. Alright, he's had that perpetual hatred upon our people, man, since before he came back as Esau, man. Alright, because that goes back to the old form when he was back as a serpent. Why? Because the serpent was there to contradict and change about the ways of righteousness, man. Alright, that's why he went for Eve, because she being a weaker vessel, she would get deceived, and then by way of Eve, Adam fell. Alright, and through Adam we all died, as the scriptures say. Alright, so a precept I want to get out is the book of the 33rd chapter, if I'm not mistaken. The 35th chapter, Salaki, verse 5. Alright, and I'm gonna start off at verse 1. "Moreover, the word of the Lord Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir." Alright, Mount Seir, because that used to be the ancient habitat of Esau, Edom. Alright, so when it says set thy face against Mount Seir, it's really referring to what Esau meant, and prophesy against it. And as a matter of fact, America is basically a big old mountain range by way of its skyscrapers, man. Alright, like it says in Obadiah verse, I forget what verse it was, verse 3 or 4. That dwells in the clefts of the rocks, whose habitation is high, as these modern day skyscrapers. Alright, because the history was that he dwelt in Mount Seir, and he dwelt in Mount Petra as well, and he moved to the Caucasus Mountains as well, and now he's here. So thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out mine hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. So the Lord is stretching out his hand by way of these plagues, man. Alright, and these plagues, this is the book of 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter, Salakia. That's actually the Spirit, I ended up saying the 6th chapter, and I landed on the 6th chapter. Alright, but verse, bear with me, I can't. Alright, actually, chapter 15, and verse 5. "Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world." Alright, the world, basically, in this era, the sword, famine, death, and destruction, for wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Right, and Esau, Edom being the wicked, and this earth being given to the hands of the wicked, he exercised, a lot of wickedness, man, by way of this westernization, which hit the four corners of the earth. Alright, and also by way of the one of fornication, as the scriptures say. Actually, let me get that out. With me, Akim. So this is the book of Revelation, 17th chapter, verse 2. Salaki, verse 1. "And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment." Or that word judgment in the Hebrew, it's like in the etymology. Alright, because all that's happening, all that's coming into the face of the earth, and all that you see happening before your eyes is judgment. Alright, prophecy is judgment, man. It means the act of trying a law, trial, and the wages of sin are death, man. So all this wickedness has to be repaid somehow, and that's by way of judgment. The Lord is bringing these plagues about, man. So judgment meaning the act of judging or assessing a person or situation or event. Alright, see, so the Lord is judging this place. It goes on to say, "I will show unto thee the judgment of that great whore." And that great whore being America, man. Alright, because America, it has a hedge over NATO and the EU, which comprise of the beast. So that's headed upon many waters. Those waters being these nations, pursuant to verse 15 of the scriptures say. And he saith unto me, "The waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Alright, but going back to the top, verse 2, with whom the kings of the earth, being these these worldwide leaders, right? These international leaders from every country, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of fornication, man. That wine being the westernization, man. And also because they always trade, man. They always do these trades. I'm mistaken, that's what it's going into. Or with these merchant ships, but digressing back. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. Also, the Lord's about to destroy this place, man. Alright, because a synonym to that word destruction means woe. Alright, woe unto thee. Alright, as the scriptures always say. For wickedness is exceedingly polluted the whole earth. Alright, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. And in this case, the whole earth being the actual whole earth, the whole globe itself. Alright, it ain't just, a known region. No, it's the whole world now, because we're at the end, man. At the end where Esau controls the whole world. The Americas, not only the Eastern Hemisphere, but the Western Hemisphere, man. Alright, now you got these scientists in both ice caps, if I'm not mistaken, that's what it's called. Ice caps being the up in the north, and you got the South Pole as well. So, digressing back to Ezekiel the 35th chapter, it reads on to say in verse 3, and say unto it, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, on Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. The Lord's about to make America desolate, man. Why? Because right now it's thriving. Alright, but it's not thriving, it's actually falling down, but before it was thriving. Alright, but you still see some semblances here left, Alright, we still see society. Alright, but ultimately all that's falling down. And not only that, but also humanity's mannerism. Why? Because as we say in Matthew the 35th chapter, it's like the 24th chapter. It's lucky for my stuttering right there. But this is the book of Matthew. I'm saying the 24th chapter. This is the book of Matthew, the 24th chapter, verse 12. And because iniquity shall wax slack, and because iniquity shall abound, and that word abound means to be full in, exist in large numbers or amounts. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. And you already see that happening before your eyes. All these people are becoming animalistic. That's what I wanted to say. It just came into mind. Animalistic. And that word animalistic really means characteristics of animals are particularly in being physical and instinctive. Why? Because the distinction between man and animal is that man has logic. Alright, man dwells with logic. Alright, they rely on logic, while animals rely on instincts, man. Alright? So, enough from rambling right there. And now you got Esau Edom out there talking about evolution, with the evolution, BS doctrine, that man is actually an animal, which is ridiculous. But I guess you could say that's true, because the scriptures even say, if I'm not mistaken, the scriptures, but, we liken Jake to beasts. Alright? Wild beasts. It's really animalistic, man. Alright, but digressing back to Ezekiel the 35th chapter, verse 3. Behold, on Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. And the precept to that would be in the book of, actually there's tons of precepts. The book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter. Going on down to the 13th chapter, verse 19. In Babylon, alright, Babylon being modern day America, being the main country where Esau, mainly is in power at, because Babylon is a chief of the nation. So in Babylon, the glory of the kingdoms, alright, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency shall be as when Yahweh overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. The Lord overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah with the chariot lasers. As a matter of fact, not only will America get hit by ICBMs, alright, but also by way of those lasers, man. Alright, because the scriptures say Yahweh shall come down with the shout. Alright, and that shout being these lasers, man. Alright, so 100% pure thermonuclear destruction will be the upcoming judgment of America, the so-called great. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Alright, because America, being a desolate wasteland will be a memorial, a remembrance for all those who may, for all those to come who may live ungodly, So neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there, because it's not gonna be business anymore here. In America, prides itself in commerce, man. Or as a matter of fact, the scriptures even call it the land of traffic. So the wild beasts of the desert and those wild beasts of the desert shall lie there. And those wild beasts, you got swift foxes, if I'm not mistaken. You got foxes, scorpions, alright, like ferrets and whatnot. You got all kinds of little creatures, which is a little program to, for them to dwell in that ecosystem. Alright, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there, and the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in the desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant palaces, and their time is near to come, and their day shall not be prolonged. Alright, so going back to Ezekiel the 35th chapter, verse 3. And I will lay the cities waste. Yeah, and the scriptures even say, they shall build, but I will throw down. Alright, so I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Alright, the Lord is making His name known in this time to come, Alright, in these times, and He's only gonna make it more known as the days progress, man, by way of this judgment. Alright, so and we always expanded on that point. We have always expanded on that point that the Lord is making His name known. Alright, before the Lord brings that fire, He's gonna make His name known. Alright, so because thou hast had a perpetual hatred. See, perpetual hatred, man. Because thou hast had and that word perpetual means an everlasting. Alright, and to prove that, this is the etymology, and it reads perpetual, Salaki, everlasting. And alright, this is the word perpetual in the etymology, and it reads from mid-14th century, perpetual, everlasting, unceasing, existing indefinitely, continuing forever in future time. Alright, uninterrupted, continuous. Going into the definitions. Alright, an adjective being continuous, continuing forever or indefinitely. That's how this Daniel was programmed to be. Alright, it's all about two nations, right? The sons of the wicked and the sons of God. Alright, one is wicked and one is righteous, man. Alright, scriptures even say you can actually, I'm gonna try and get that precept down. I don't want to butcher it. Alright, this is the book of 2 Corinthians, the 6th chapter, verse 14, and it reads, be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. Alright, going into, these wicked ass two-thirds that don't believe, man. Alright, but you could also apply what's gonna fall along those lines, because it's gonna say, for what fellowship has righteousness with unrighteousness. So you could also apply that to the sons of the wicked and sons of God, man. Alright, there's no fellowship between the two. Alright, so we just say, can't two walk together lest they be agreed? And the answer is no, they can't walk together lest they be agreed. And what communion hath the light with darkness, man? See, and there's another precept, I believe it was in the book of Sirach, but this is the only one that came. Digressing back. The book of Ezekiel, the 35th chapter, verse 5, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee, saith thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. And the scriptures even say that Yahweh Shai is going to come down here, to trample these damn devils like a wine press, man. And his garments are going to be dyed in the blood of the Edomites. Alright? And it's going to be a little bloodbath, man. A bloodbath. He's literally going to bathe himself in the blood of Esau, man. Alright? The Lord doesn't give a damn, if he was Isaac, and he loved Esau in that form. The Lord don't give a damn, man. Alright? Yahweh Shai does not care. Yahweh Shai is coming here to do judgment after all. Alright? Esau was the one that literally, like with Pilate, the government, or Pilate, I'm not sure how you say his name, whatever the hell, however you say it, pronounce it. They literally also had a part in crucifying Yahushua. Not only that, we had that stupid ass Roman soldier who threw that spirit at his corpse, man. So don't you think Yahushua is pissed off because of that? Of course he is, man. The scriptures say, I shall not beat thee as a man. Alright, so because thou hast had a perpetual blood. It's like you already read that. Actually, I can remember that as well. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel. Remember, this is all for the controversy of Zion. The Lord's coming here to judge his place for the controversy of Zion. And the precept to that would be in the book of Isaiah, that's a beautiful verse. Isaiah the 34th chapter, verse 8, a beautiful precept. For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. Alright, that's one of the many precepts going into the fact that it's all for the controversy of Zion, man. Because each nation had a part in beating us down. Alright, for their own gain. Which was for a time. So you guys literally sold out. You guys literally sold out the glory of the Lord, all for your guys' own sake, which is only for temporary. And that's why these nations will feel shame. For everlasting shame. Just like these 2/3, they'll feel shame for all eternity, man, in the kingdom to come. So, and has shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of their sword and by the force of the sword in the time of the because that sword is a great blessing. Is a blessing, man. That great blessing is a sword given to Esau Edom, which as right now is the modern day gun, because it's crazy with ancient terminology. Alright, the Lord ain't gonna have it to a point where back in the ancient world where the scribes would write gun instead of the word sword. Alright, because that's not how it worked back then. So by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, the time their iniquity had an end, you could read about that in Zechariah the 1st chapter, verse 15. Alright, going into how the Lord was sore displeased with the heathen, that were at ease, for they held forward the affliction. So verse 6, therefore as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Sith thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Alright, so now I'm going to get out the book of Isaiah, the 66th chapter, verse 15. It's like in the 63rd chapter. I'm going to say the 63rd chapter, I'm going to say the 63rd chapter, not the 66th. Alright, but Isaiah the 63rd chapter, verse 1. Who is this that cometh from Edom? Alright, with dyed garments from Basra, which Basra was back in the ancient world. Basra was a chief city back in Edom, or the land of Edom. So who's this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments of Basra? And we ultimately know that through the Spirit, this is referring to America. Alright, so with dyed garments from Basra, this that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. Alright, see, Yahushua is going to come down here in his full glory. Slaki from my studying right there. So, this that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness mighty to save. Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel? Because he's going to come down here to get busy, man. Get his hands dirty. Take out those gloves and just play with the mud. That mud being the blood. Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat. I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. For I would tread them in mine anger, and trample them in my fury. And their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain on my raiment. For the day of vengeance is in mine heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. See, the day of vengeance. And I looked, and there was none to help, and I wondered that there was none to uphold. Therefore mine own arm brought the salvation unto me, and my fury it upheld me. And I would tread down the people in mine anger, and make them drunk in my fury, and I'll bring down their strength to the earth. Alright, see, so the Lord's coming here to get busy, man. And I would tread down the people in mine anger. Lord, man. Now let's talk about rapture, in the plantation Christianity doctrine about the rapture. What they say is that their sweet Jesus Christ is going to come down here with hugs and kisses along with the angels holding hand in hand. And that's not what the scriptures say, man. That's not at all what the scriptures say. Alright, the scriptures say that Yahweh is going to come down here in his anger, man, in his full glory and in a different aura than when he last was on the scene, man. He's going to come down here very angry. Why? Because it's a day of vengeance. And I would tread down the people in mine anger. Alright, in mine anger. And and make them drunk in my fury, and I'll bring down their strength to the earth. Alright, so lucky about that, but to end it off, I'm gonna reread Amos, the first chapter, verse 11 again. And it reads, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment, because no sin shall go unpunished, man. I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword. And actually, before I close it off, I'm gonna get another precept, man. Alright. And this is the book of Genesis, the 27th chapter, verse 37, and it reads, And Isaac answered and said, Esau, behold, I have made him thy Lord, and all this brethren. Slacky, going down to verse 40, and by thy sword shalt thou live. Alright, see, and by thy sword shalt thou live. That was his blessing. That was Esau's blessing. The sword. And that's why in America, you basically read these articles and they always exaggerate the fact that here in America, the Second Amendment is taken serious by most families. Well, only Edomite families, man. Alright? Not only that, but Esau made guns the top tier shit, man. Alright, you watch these movies, you see these shows, alright, you play these video games, and what's the number one popular thing, on site? Guns, alright, shooter films, shooter video games, man. So, man, that's how you know that Esau is a so-called white man. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And he did serve Jake, man, during the times of when King David was on the scene. And that was in the book of, I believe it was in the book of Kings. If I can get that out. 1 Kings, the 8th chapter, if I'm mistaken. Alright, so this is the book of 2 Samuel, the 8th chapter, verse 14, Salakia. And it reads, And he put garrisons. And that word garrison, Salakia, this thing is acting up right now. Alright, but that word garrison means a troop stationed in a fortress or town that defended. And back in the ancient world, you always had garrisons. Alright? Basically established, within the cities. Alright, so a place for troops. In other words, and he put garrisons in Edom. So all Edom put garrisons. And all they of Edom became David's servants. And the Lord preserved David whithersoever he went. Alright, see, so they served us, man. Alright, so that was a fulfillment of prophecy, that already happened. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion. Alright, see, so, and when it says, and shall serve thy brother, it ain't referring to the 1,000 years of slavery. It's really referring to back when King David was on the scene. Because he goes on to say here, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, and he has a dominion right now, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And that happened when Jake was falling off hard, man. Right, and what happened was that, I'm mistaken, what happened was that Esau did help the Babylonians, take over. Alright, that was in you can also read that in Ezra's. I forget what chapter it was, first or second Ezra. I believe it was the book of First Ezra's, or the book of First Ezra's. Lucky about that. And also in Ecclesiastes, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it was in the book of Obadiah. Digressing back, verse 41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. So see, man, Esau's had a perpetual hatred, man. Alright, for thousands of years. Alright, since the beginning of time, man. Not the beginning of time, but ever since the serpent was on the scene, man. It's just lucky about that. Since the serpent, man, Esau's had a perpetual hatred upon us. Alright, back when it was, Cain and Abel, Cain being Esau and Abel being Jacob. Hey, he sought to slay the righteous line, man. Alright, he literally slew our forefather, Abel, which was really through the spirit we understand that it's really Jacob. So going back to Amos, the first chapter, verse 11. I will send a fire upon Teman, which shall devour the places of Basra. Alright, with that being said, actually, make it another one. Alright, so lock it, but I'm gonna close it off in the book of Revelation, the 13th chapter, verse 10, and I'm gonna start with verse 9, and it reads, "If any man have an ear, let him hear, and that ear is spiritual, for if you have the understanding, the ear." Alright, because not everybody's gonna get the scriptures, man. They can read it, but they won't understand it. So, if any man have an ear, meaning if you understand, let him understand. Verse 10, the point, he that led us into captivity, and who's the one that led us into captivity? Esau, and that word captivity means slavery. Alright, and as a matter of fact, we're still in bondage, man, by way of that paper, right? Contract, contract-wise, and basically voluntary servitude, if you will. Which that word servitude, servant is another word for slave. So slave. So he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Alright, so Esau's gonna go into captivity, man. He that killed with the sword, and Esau's sword being the modern day gun, and he always slew Jacob unjustly, man. Why? Because Esau benefits with this with this white supremacy and his constitution and whatnot. Why? Because if you're a so-called non-white, you're not an American, as they say, man. Alright, and that's how these elites, that's the mentality of these elites. So he that killed with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints, and that is our faith. That is our patience and our faith, man. Alright, we're the saints, right? That word saints is another title for the Israelite nation, starting off with the elect, because the elect are gonna be the only ones that are gonna turn back and repent, to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai, and do His works. And do the works, do His will, which is to do the works, on this side, man. Right before all hell breaks loose, man. So that is our patience and our faith, man. All right, that's a part of our drive, man. That's the reason why we're out in the highways and hedges and do these lessons, man. All right, because this word is real, man. All right, the spirit resides within this book, But anyways, with that being said, up, this video was edifying. Lord, we will continue to push first and foremost, Starlight of all praises, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachak. Alright, the bonus of the apostles and others that grew millstone rule well and taught us this 100% truth. Alright, much peace and blessings spent to you, hopefully, like out the pushing out this word of thought, truth, and sincerity. To all you Akim, I say Shalom. About and DTA soon. Lord, we will out this be, man.